There's a lawn that I do. This one's a weekly lawn. I cut the pool area down to about 3.5 inches. It's a little bit short for the summer, but if you let them get too tall, they get bugs if you're not treating for it. And they're not. I don't do the lawn treatments here, so I've tried letting this area go a little bit taller in the past, and I noticed, they haven't said anything, but I noticed it gets very buggy, little gnats and everything. Obviously the shade doesn't grow anything, but because of the gnats and the bugs, I always cut the lounging area right out by the pool. Always cut it a little bit shorter. I don't do any of the landscaping here. The customer does that, and the customer does the lawn treatments. Let's walk around to the front here. Well, I guess I should say the only landscaping work I do here is trimming the hedges, which I trimmed them probably 3 weeks ago. And you can see they're already growing up, but here's the front lawn, which is cut at 4.25 inches. And it stripes up well, you know. And I think the only thing he uses out here is like a weed and feed product. I used to do the lawn treatments out here, and you know, we built it up to this nice stand of fescue a couple years ago. And then I stopped doing lawn treatments just because we were having a ton of drought issue, and like there's no sprinklers here, okay? So, you know, and it's not just here, there's a lot of lawns that I was treating, and then the summer heat would roll in and they would all die. And it was just frustrating because I'm having to explain to people, like, if you want to keep this, okay, in our Georgia summers, okay, you have to water constantly. And exactly 0 people were watering, but they were all like constantly asking questions and like having issues. Now go figure, now that I've not been offering lawn treatments, we've had rain every single week for 2 or 3 days a week this year, ever since probably February. You know, we're going into June. We're usually in a drought situation right now, okay, and things start dying off right now. But look at this. This is the 3rd week of June. And normally everything's dead and dry. You know, there's still some wet spots in the far part of the lawn where I'm kind of not spinning my wheels, but you can tell it's wet, it's waterlogged. And that's just the kind of year we're having now that I don't do lawn treatments. You know, everyone's lawns are going to look spectacular, you know, and this thing looks good, but like, you know, there's still some like weeds and stuff in here, and they're all kind of dispersed throughout. Like, it looks really, really solid when it's cut, but you know how this goes. Like, there's going to be weeds all the way throughout. No lawn's ever going to be 100%. But yeah, so that's the lawn. The front lawn is cut taller than the back lawn. Here's the hedges that we work on, doing topiary. You can see I cut these 3 weeks ago, and they're already growing back. And we just installed this landscape here. There was some more boxwoods in this position. And basically what we did a couple months ago was cleared everything out, expanded the bed out a little bit. We didn't do a full landscape redo because obviously we just wanted to fix this area with some new plants. We got 6 pink molly, which are pink blooming in the fall months. Got a really nice purple crepe myrtle as your centerpiece. You can see it through the door, and it kind of frames the visual leading out to the road. You've got 3 azaleas and 3 limelight hydrangeas in the back. So the goal when I do landscapes is going to be some sort of color at all times. So next year, when this is more established, the crepe myrtle will be blooming. I want to say it's a nice purple. In the fall months, you'll get pink from the pink moly. And in the spring, you'll get, I think, either white or pink from the azaleas. I can't remember. Oh, and then in the summer next year, these hydrangeas will also be blooming white. So in the summer, you'll have white and purple, okay? So purple with a white background. In the spring, you'll have the white or pink azaleas blooming out. And in the fall, the azaleas and the pink moly will be blooming. So I want to say the azaleas, if I'm remembering, are white, and the pink mollies are going to be pink, obviously. So at some point in the year, you're going to have color. Loropetalum, holly shrub. There's the rest of the lawn, looking good. Then you go over to the untreated areas, and all this stuff over here on the tree line is cut back to 2 1/4 inch. So it's super short, okay? And these little spots, it's just kind of a mow and go situation. But yeah, there's one of our lawns that we do, a bit of landscape stuff, and whatnot and such. Now I'm gonna go mow the neighbor's lawn on the other side of these trees, and I'll do a video of it whenever I finish up mowing it. All right, I got this one mowed just in time for the rain to hit. Little doggy there, but I got the whole thing cut up clean. It's hard to tell on camera because of the low light, but you know, it looks pretty good. This is when I do the landscaping on. Had issues with these rose bushes here whenever we first started working on it. Got most of that fixed. Just little, like, had never been trimmed and yada yada yada, and then little disease issues, fungus, whatnot. So we got those treated, and they're well on their way to looking really good again. The one on the end still a little skimpy, but for the most part, those are fixed. They've got them on this side and on the other side of the yard, which I'll show in a minute. But I'm hiding under these trees, hoping that it is going to decide to calm down a little bit with this rain, because I still need to blow off all the patio and the driveway. So I'm just glad I got the thing mowed before it actually started to rain. I might even just finish trimming and just go home. All right, in the trees again, got a little bit more trimming done. It's kind of an on and off rain, and I can see blue skies behind me. This sucks, dude. I got that far side of the sidewalk done. There's the front lawn. It's a very big lawn. But yes, I do all their landscaping there. Standing in the trees waiting on this rain to stop, but it just got heavier, and they're like big, giant, huge drops of rain. So I was hoping to get this bed edge tightened up here, but it's raining and now it's going to be a mess. We're just going to have to see kind of how I can do it. Moments later, rain has stopped. There it goes. And there's the blue. Oh, cut up. Looking good. And now we get to finish the rest of the day with nearly 1000% humidity. talk about those last two properties. So those are two of my sort of, better looking properties. I don't do the lawn treatments. Someone else does them. Whether it's the customer on the first one or the treating company on the other. Those lawns are great. They look great. It's kind of the internet thing, right? Look at those cool stripes. Look how awesome these lawns are, and they are nice. They are funner to cut and yada yada yada. But you won't get too many of those, especially when they're that big. Just because the price to make it worth it, if you're charging enough, man, those yards are expensive yards. Period. There's just no way around it. The first yard I was actually fired on a couple years back, and so he fired me in fall. Got another company. They did his landscape. They mowed his lawn up until the following April. So he fired me in October. It was sitting there all winter long. They worked March and April, and he called me back and said, hey, this stuff's happening. This stuff's going on. Can you come work on the lawn again? He switched lawn care providers, claiming that I had left clippings on the lawn, which I don't do. If I leave clippings, it's because your lawns are growing too quick, and maybe it's wet outside and I can't double cut or whatever the situation is. If there are clippings left, I promise you there's a good reason for it. But that was his claim. After sort of working with him again after a while, I think it was more about the price, because the lawn mowing it's expensive. They're big yards. Both of those yards take me about 2 hours, 2.5 hours when I'm alone. So that's the bigger part of a day, and that's got to be worth it. That's time away from the family. If you've got an employee, you got to pay them when they're with you. Yada yada yada. So all that to say, while those yards are nice, I would almost prefer just a little junky, weedy lawn that the person doesn't care, because I could run in there and chop the thing down and run with $50 in 20 minutes or so, and never ever get a complaint. But with these treated lawns, they just take a lot of extra time. You can never really mow them in the rain, or wet, so if they do get into a situation where, like recently, where it's just raining nonstop, and the lawn's always wet, it's I got an option. I got to figure out an option. I either mow it wet and make it a bit of a mess for the week, potentially damage the lawn, or we wait until it dries out for a few hours, and then we have a super tall lawn, because as soon as the sun comes out, those treated lawns go through the roof as far as their growth, right? So it's really a difficult situation in years like this one, where it just rains constantly. So keep in mind, when you see these really nice lawns and you're like, oh, this is all I want to do, it's sure, it's fun, it is great, and I do love doing those properties, but only because they pay appropriately, right? And the one that I don't do any of the landscaping on, and he won't, I can't do the pine straw, I can only do the hedges. I've considered potentially not doing that one, just because if I get a property like that, I want everything to be as pristine as I can get it. Obviously not to say that I'm doing some amazing, incredible job, but if I get a job like that, I want it to look as good as possible. And then things like the weeds get out of hand in the flower beds, and it's I'm not getting paid to do it, so I'm not going to do it, right? So yeah, a little weird trade-offs. I've considered going back to a full treatment only or a full service only model. The problem with that is you do have a lot less customers, you know. So a lot of people, most people just want a lawn dude. They don't want a perfect pristine yard. They don't care, you know. Those customers that want everything to look amazing are far and few between, okay. And then when you do find them, you better be on your game, because the tiniest little thing, man, you're going to get called out for, and have to come back and do it again, or whatever, you know. There's always a lot of explanation and coordination with that type of customer. And the way that I am, dude, I like to roll in, get the job done, and roll out. Like, I need you to trust me that the job I'm doing is going to be a good one, you know. So I don't know, just a little bit of rambling on some of the nicer yards. I'm going to go do a couple others that are, one's treated and one's not. Two are not. So we'll see how much I can get done. I'm trying to get done at this side of town today so that I can be off tomorrow. But then it rains, so everything's going to take a lot longer. Great. All right, let's go do it. All right, we just got rained on again. As you can see, absolutely poured. Clouds are black. But do you think I'm going to get behind? Absolutely not. I'm going to mow in the rainiest of rains, no matter what, because I can't get behind. We were ahead, and I want to stay ahead. You know what? I'm going to get greedy with it. But first, let's look at these planter boxes, okay? I made these in the spring. We're moving into summer now. Got foxtail fern, impatiens, potato vine, purple heart, some zinnia in the back for the orange. Looking good. And look, both of them are huge. And they were just tiny little things whenever I first planted them. Yeah, I made these back in the spring. I'll probably end up cutting them back a little bit, because that'll help them grow a little bit. We want to get that fox fern out, that foxtail fern, so that it looks good. And then here's the lawn, super tall. Don't know what that gray spot is. Might be a fungus, something like that. But super tall, fescue, grows like wildfire. We're gonna cut it up. Got it all trimmed out, all the little spots I can't get. Got all the edging done. Now, it's time to see if we can mow this thing. You know, this is the, when they say hell or high water, it's that high water thing that we talk about. This is what they mean. You saw it a minute ago, it was striped up, but I blew all the stripes out. Unfortunately, I can't get this crabgrass out. It's always in there, and it's very annoying. But, you know what? Is this lawn pretty right now? No, it's not. But it's cut, it's done. I blew out the tire marks, you know, pretty well. A couple little spots like this that you can't really avoid because it's in the standing water. But the reason I blow out the tire marks is because if you mow in the rain and you leave those tire marks in a fescue lawn, specifically a fescue lawn, because the grass is so wispy and thin, it likes to lay down, okay? And when you mow it wet, or even in morning mildew or morning dew, it'll just kind of tack down and smother itself out. So again, is this the prettiest cut on this yard? Absolutely not. But it is cut, and come morning time, well, 2 or 3 morning times from now when it stops raining, you won't even be able to tell, because it's going to be growing back already. This thing grows so fast. You know, everything that I cut off of here was a week's worth of growth, and it was extremely tall, and I cut it at the transport height on the Skag. But yeah, when you're in these situations where it rained the last 3 days and it's going to rain the next 3 days, like, you don't have a choice to do things, okay? So I've put this thing off before, and you know, then you come by and you mow it, and even on the transport height, if you leave it too long, especially on a fescue lawn, again, you leave it too long, it grows way too high, even for the transport height, and then the summer heat sets in and you're already cutting it as high as you can, but you're still taking off way too much because the grass is growing so quick, it kills it. Okay, so there are certain things that you just have to do, and this is one of them. Again, is it the prettiest? No, this one looks way better when I cut it dry, but like I say, can't leave it. Now I'm gonna go cut the one across the street. We'll see how that goes. It's Bermuda. All right, so here we are the next morning. I'm doing voiceover because these trucks going by are so loud, but look across the street. It looks totally fine, even though I mowed it in that wet condition the night before. So here we are after blowing off the lawn, just getting the edged out areas. This lawn is actually Bermuda. I convinced him to switch to Bermuda this season after fescue dies constantly, and it looks like it's working out. So this one's completely wet as well. This is just everything right now, you know, and this particular lawn is just a field, and it's almost 100% weeds, and you'll see in a second these little yellow flowered weeds. They're just tall little stalks, and no matter how short you cut, you're gonna look back and all of these things are gonna be sticking up. All right, so I had to go home for a little bit, meet with family. Got a newborn at home, and we've still, you know, a month later, still got family coming in to meet her for the first time and all that. Had family in from St. Louis this weekend, had a friend in from Nashville yesterday, grandparents came by today, and it feels like the last month has just been a constant stream of people coming by, which is always cool. So I went ahead and made a little bit of time for that. Got a little too settled in, went back out to work some more. Nice little 20-minute drive to the first yard. Forgot my work keys. The keys to unlock my trailer racks and to start the lawnmower. So I had to go all the way back home, and now I'm heading all the way back. So, great, right? Great. Anyway, I wanted to ramble, I guess, while I'm here about hiring employees. It is difficult, okay? It is really difficult. I finally found a young guy who's like teachable and is learning, and he's kind of picking things up. You know, he's been with me probably 3 weeks at this point. But the thing that I noticed specifically about him is that he's actually learning the job, you know? There's been other guys this year that I've taken out, and you know, this is the first year that I'm getting super serious about hiring workers, just because, again, we've got the baby at home now, and I don't really, when I'm 35, I don't want to be mowing 40 or 50 lawns alone. All right, I just, it's not viable. So the sooner I can get this stuff off my plate, the better. And also just, again, there's a lot of potential in this business, but it's extremely limited when you're alone, okay? And one of the things that I'm trying to do is build this thing up, but I need to get guys in here who are trustworthy and can run the equipment and are teachable and flexible as far as learning. And I'm shocked at how difficult it is to find someone that just knows the basics, and even the guys that are quote unquote experienced. I've hired probably 4 guys that claim many years of experience in professional lawn care, and I've learned that I have to really specify, I'm looking for lawn care professional, not someone who mowed for their grandpa a couple of years ago. I need to know that you've worked for a company, you know how the machinery works, yada yada yada. I have not found a single experienced guy, because I've hired 4 that have at least 3 years of experience. One guy had 7, he claimed. Not a single one of them know how to do a walk behind mower, which is unbelievable to me. Beyond that, there's guys that I haven't hired who claim experience, and a couple of them have said they kind of know how to run a walk behind, but most just don't, even with all these years of experience, and worse yet, just beyond that, is there's a lot of really bad habits that these experienced guys have learned from working with these bigger landscape companies, and namely, it's just really sloppy work, or they trim or weed eat, depending on where you're from. They trim in a way that basically kills all the grass around the trees or around the house or whatever, and it kills it, right? And it leaves a dead strip, okay? And I get it. I get the mentality. It's the shorter you cut it, the less, work you're going to have next week or whatever, but it looks terrible, okay? And I'm here for the looks, right? I want it to look good. I want it to look clean. Yes, we want to be quick and efficient, but if you're sacrificing the quality of work, that is not acceptable, okay? And a lot of these guys are working for these companies that are telling them, hey, go, get done. And you know what? They're getting done, but it looks like trash. So, yeah, a lot of really bad habits. I've got guys who have come in and, they'll mow a lawn very poorly, crooked lines, leaving clumps everywhere. I mow with the same mower, and I don't understand how guys leave clumps with these mowers, because I'm using the same equipment, but somehow they're managing to get all this buildup, and I get it, it's been raining, but it's kind of ridiculous in a way. I don't understand. But they mow it poorly, and then they'll leave the deck down and they'll run it up the gate of the trailer, and you know how that goes. It scrapes the bottom because you're supposed to lift up to the height. Just weird crap, dude. One guy, I bought brand new trimmers to get these guys on the truck with, and make sure we have a backup on top of the ones we're using. And one guy, in a matter of 3 weeks, completely wore down a weed eater head on a brand new weed eater. I can get them to last 4 to 6 months. I don't understand. I don't get it. Solo, I almost
routinely buy one weed eater head replacement per year. Okay, and that'll last me all winter long. Like I'll use it from spring to like maybe early fall, maybe late summer, just whatever the variable is. And then the new one will last me all winter long, and somehow this guy wore it down in 3 weeks. A brand new weed eater head. Blows my mind. I don't get it. And so I hired this kid that had no experience. He's in high school, yada yada. Never done anything like this in his life. And here's the deal. It was rough, okay? And it took him about 2 weeks of working and going over some of the same yards. And he's finally getting the quality down. Like I'm able to let him go on a yard and I don't have to walk behind him. And what I'm kind of finding is that maybe it's easier to just train someone to do it right than it is to break old habits. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Just weird little rambling. And I'm curious if anyone else has found that. Like, so many guys are coming up with experience, but nobody knows how to run the equipment. Weird stuff. All right. On to the next yard. No, the yard I'm going to is in the shadows. Not again. Another one done. Mowed, edge, trimmed, yada yada yada. Alright, getting rained on again. Every single yard for the last 4 days, 5 days. Alright, so let's talk about rain days, which, kind of been constant for the last 2 months, really. Everything's growing like crazy. I'm going out of my mind. I'm to a point where I just absolutely have to mow wet lawns, even though I hate it. The usual tricks of the trade, like, extra sharp blades, raise your mower deck up, go a little bit slower. Like, nothing is, quite making it work reliably, like raising your deck up to cut a little bit cleaner and less clumpy. Right now, everything's growing so fast that every time you raise your deck, if you raise it a little bit more and you raise it a little bit more, eventually you kind of outpace either your deck or you outpace what people are going to tolerate as far as their cut height. So it's been a frustrating couple weeks. There's just not enough dry time. I'm sitting here in the middle of this storm just waiting for it to clear out because the forecast says 10 minutes or so, and it's just a torrential downpour, and I'm gonna have to slog through this, and I'm hoping that it gets clear enough after the rain that by the time I get to the other half of the lawn, the sun has heated things up enough that it dries out just enough for me to get the tops cut. This particular lawn I'm working on, I had to mow it very short last week, and it was wet because the customer was like, hey, is there any way you can cut it any shorter? Because, again, in order for me to get these yards done, I'm having to cut them wet, which means I have to raise the mower deck, half an inch more than what I would typically do. And that works great until someone's like, hey, my lawn looks taller. It's like, well, yeah, it's raining nonstop. Just by virtue of the fact that it's actually raining in June, all right? So it's hot, it's humid, and it's constantly raining. Just by virtue of the fact that it's raining, yes, your lawns are gonna be taller. Yes, your lawns are gonna be growing. That's what makes the lawn care business viable. That is exactly why these services exist. And by the way, and this is what I tell every customer, here's the deal. It looks crazy now, it looks wild now, yes, things are going fast now, but the moment summer actually hits and those rainstorms go away, everything's gonna come to a screeching halt, okay? So, like, sure, you're saying one thing now, it'll be the exact opposite thing in like 3 or 4 weeks, you know? If it stops raining. I mean, who knows? Like, maybe we could have a weird year and it just does this 4 days of rain every week for the rest of the year. I don't know. I doubt that, but yeah, you know, it's a cow farm. It's going to be cows outside. You know, it's a lawn. It's getting rained on. It's going to grow, right? Like, there's certain things that, like, yeah, that's what happens when it rains. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because rain like this is always frustrating, and it doesn't happen often. We usually have the exact opposite situation, but hopefully you can tell it's clearing out now. The sun's about to come out. I'm gonna let these clouds pass over, let the blue come back out, and then we're gonna get this thing cut up.
Alright, so the rain in fact did not let up. In fact, it got worse. So I went home that day. So here's a picture of our lawn that we finally got fixed up this year. And it's dead from the heat now, so